Welcome to Growth at the Pace of Trust. I am your host, Kawtar El Alaoui. If you are new here, this podcast stands on a few core pillars: leadership, growth mindset, business development, career reinvention, and real talk. Real talk about who we are, how we grow, and how we navigate the transitions life puts in front of us. In episode 1, I shared the moment this podcast was born, the truth behind my career transition, and what pushed me to step into a new chapter. Today, I want to take you one layer deeper. This episode is personal, and it is also connected to who I became professionally. Because the inner work we do does not stay in our personal life. It shows up everywhere. It shapes our leadership, our boundaries, our confidence, and the way we show up in the world. So I want to take you back to the summer of 2023, a season that changed me as a woman, as a mother, and also as a professional. I am sharing this because this podcast is about the real work behind growth, the parts people do not see. For a long time, I carried a masculine energy I did not always want to carry. As a single mother and the provider for my family, I had to be the decision maker, the problem solver, the one holding everything together. Even when I longed for softness, life demanded strength. Even when I wanted to rest in my feminine energy, responsibility pulled me back into survival mode. My last marriage was the one that shook me the most. I invested so much into that relationship. I poured into him, lifted him, helped him rise. I showed up with loyalty, devotion, and love. And when betrayal happened, I found myself asking a difficult question. Why did I accept what I accepted? Why did I give so much when I was not receiving the same? Why did I treat someone like a king when I was not being treated like a queen? These questions pushed me into a deeper search, not about him, but about me. That search led me to a doctor of psychology in Egypt who teaches a concept in Arabic called رفع تقدير الذات والاستحقاق. The best translation is elevating your sense of worth and what you believe you deserve. I joined her program. 11 sessions that went into the things we rarely talk about: healing the past, understanding childhood patterns, inner child wounds, chakras, attraction dynamics, cultural conditioning, the beliefs we inherit about sacrifice, endurance, and what a woman is supposed to tolerate. Through this journey, I learned that who we become in relationships is shaped long before adulthood. Many of our reactions, our fears, our tolerance levels come from childhood and from the stories we grew up with. Stories that tell you to give, stories that tell you to endure, stories that tell you to carry weight quietly. I realized I was following the path of my mother without even knowing it. A woman who put everyone first at the cost of herself. A woman who stayed strong even when she was hurting. A woman who was taught that peace comes from sacrifice. By the end of this program, something shifted in me. It is difficult to describe it because it is not something you can measure. It is something you feel. My energy changed. My standards changed. My attraction changed. I became aware of what aligns with me and what does not. I learned to say no. I learned my value. I learned what I refuse to entertain. I learned that I am not for everyone, and that is a strength, not a weakness. And surprisingly, this transformation did not stay in my personal life. It followed me into my work. Healing reshapes my professional identity. When you elevate your sense of worth, you stop accepting environments that drain you. When you understand your value, you stop tolerating workplaces that ignore it. When you heal your inner child, you stop trying to prove yourself to people who do not deserve access to your brilliance. I became clear about the type of environment I wanted to work in. I stopped saying yes to misalignment just because the opportunity looks good on paper. I stopped shrinking in rooms where I belonged. I stopped confusing pressure with productivity. And I stopped choosing work cultures that rewarded exhaustion rather than authenticity. The same way I learned to choose better relationships, I learned to choose better professional environments. Your relationship with work mirrors your relationship with yourself. If you do not value yourself, your career will reflect that. If you do value yourself, your career rises to meet you. That is why I wanted to talk about this today. Theta healing changed how I show up in every part of my life. It made me a stronger leader, a better decision maker, a more grounded business development professional, and someone who protects her peace and her energy without apology. So if you are in a season of transition or questioning your alignment or wondering why certain patterns repeat in your career or relationships, I invite you to look inward. Your professional growth and your personal healing are not separate. They are deeply connected. And before we close, I want to leave you with something that has guided me in every chapter of my life. Remember that God is the provider. A paycheck is not your source. Your employer is not your source. And just like a company chooses you, you also choose them. Never trade your peace, your dignity, or your self-worth for a job. No opportunity is worth losing yourself. When something is aligned for you, it will come with clarity, not confusion, with respect, not depletion, with peace, not pressure. Choose environments that honor who you are becoming. Choose leaders who recognize your value. Choose work that aligns with your purpose because your provision comes from God and He will never require you to shrink in order to receive it. Thank you for joining me today on Growth at the Pace of Trust. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time.